Okay, so we'll just recap. We're going to cover today how to create your free Google listing, which is essentially a business page listing. So this is an example of mine, and this is a very good example of do as I say, not as I do, because mine isn't fabulous. I haven't really fully optimized it, but it gives you an idea of what it looks like. So over here on the right hand side is the business listing. So how I've been able to come up in the search engine is, in this case, I use my business name. So my website comes up over here in the organic search results, and then I've also got my business listing through Google coming up here on the right. So this here on the right is what we're talking about today and what I'm going to take you through in setting up. It's really easy to do and would probably take you no more than 5-10 minutes to set it up. So if you don't have one, definitely look to do it, and I'll also take you through the reasons why I believe you should have one. So if we look at just some key areas here, obviously the business name comes up. If you've got a website, that will link off to your website. So if someone wants to find out a little bit more about you, they're very likely to click on your website. We all do a little bit of digital stalking these days, and that's how they would come and stalk me, is come and have a look at the website. What does Kim offer? What services, and find out a little bit more about you. You've got your hours and a contact number, or contact details that you can include as well. Over here on the map, you can have that to your required location. So I've set mine up so that it's all of Australia, but you might just want your local suburb or within so much distance from where you operate. So they're pretty critical areas for you to know and understand. I haven't gone down the path of having reviews, but I do genuinely believe they're important. If I had sought reviews and I had them coming up on my listing, that would be appearing up here, when you see the little stars, and then you can scroll down, scroll down to read reviews down here. So we'll get to reviews in a little bit more detail shortly. Sorry, I'm jumping around the screen. But I just thought it might be worthwhile also explaining the benefits of why you would actually go to the small bother of setting this up. And I think it's, if nothing else, it's giving you a digital presence within Google. And the way that we use Google these days, it's so ingrained in our everyday lives that you'd be mad not to be on there. So absolutely go, that good old saying, fish where the fish are, and this is free. This costs you absolutely nothing but your time to set it up. So definitely, gives you that digital presence within Google. And obviously, if you can be found, there's more chance that you're going to generate some interest, hopefully lead to some inquiries, which you can then convert to sales. Just a couple of interesting statistics. Got these from Google in about November last year, so 2018 statistics. 82% of smartphone users turn to a search engine when looking for a local business. So 82%, 82 out of 100 people will go to Google to find a local business. So you just think about, I know, say for example, if I'm traveling and I like to think of myself as a coffee connoisseur, I will always look up best cafe or best coffee near me, and I'll then have a quick read through their star ratings, how far away are they from me, what time are they opening. So you think about how people are looking and consuming that kind of content these days, and it's certainly beneficial for you to be in that space. Not the nicest situation, but let's say for example someone has had a death in the family, they need a travel agent now to either to get to the person that's passed or to have family come to them. So there are urgent situations where people may be looking for a travel agent, or there might be just some more general, could be travel agent near me. If they're ready to now talk to an expert, then they could be looking for you, or it could be travel agent, if you've got a specialization. So all those things you need to factor in when creating your Google listing to help people find you. The other thing, I did touch on it, but just to give you the stat behind it, there's been a 3 times increase in people using the Near Me search function. So the example I just gave was the coffee, so best coffee near me. So it could be travel agent near me, travel partners near me. Now, interestingly, I just did a test before travel partners near me. So I'm based on the Gold Coast, and I had a lady, a travel agent or travel partners travel agent, come up, and she was the only one that came up. So I would say there's plenty of opportunity for you to leverage off this free listing. So make sure you do get on here and do this. And of course, once you have set it up, you want to make sure you fill it out as much as possible. So make sure you do put in your contact details, your website if you've got one, and your hours. Now keep in mind your hours, mine are just business hours, 9 to 5. You might want to offer 24/7, but keep in mind that might mean you're going to get a call at 10 at night or 3 in the morning. So be realistic about when you want to be receiving those calls, because you don't want to look to be offering a 24/7 service, but then you're not available to deliver when people need you the most, or you've gone and said that you're available and you're not. Now we're just going to step through the process, and you'll be pleasantly surprised how easy it is. It's probably one of the easiest digital things to set up. So let's do this. Now you will need a Gmail account. If you don't have one already, really easy to set up. And again, you can just Google set up Gmail account. You can just use something like your name. I've had a personal Gmail account for years now, just kim.skilton@gmail.com. So just be logical about what your account is going to be called. You can use Gmail as your business account and swap it to your domain name, but that would be a whole other little training session. But just, I guess what I'm trying to say is make sure you think about what your Gmail account to be linked to. So you will need to set up your Gmail account, and then you'll be able to go through and do this Google business listing. So as you can see, it's pretty straightforward. You've got a sign-in screen, and then you'll create your account, first name, last name, your email address. You'll need a password. And if you're like me and have quite a few passwords, even though they might be similar but slightly different, make sure you're capturing those somewhere. So whether you have a document that you capture those in, or you use a tool like LastPass, just make sure that you'll capture this one as well. And then you'll move on to the next screen, and that is your business name. So just make sure you're using your trading name. So as an example, if you are a company, Proprietary Limited, you might be something like ABC Proprietary Limited Trading as Travel Partners Brisbane, as an example. So make sure you're using your client, consumer, customer friendly business name, not your corporate company name, if they are different. So that's what you would enter here. You then go through and you add in all your address details. So again, all very straightforward. Now, really big one for you here, especially the mobile agents who I'm pretty sure don't want their home address showing. Make sure you tick this box here, hide my address. If you have street frontage, you have an actual office location, then you would want that unticked. You do want people to know your actual physical address. But if you're working from home, or you literally are mobile, you move around, then you would hide your address. But you are going to have to give Google an actual address. So I just use my home address, but you can hide it so that it's not displaying and you don't have any random people showing up to your home address, which is a nice thing. Now moving through, step 2 continued, your business category. So for travel, it would just be travel agent or travel agency. I think they've got it down there. But there's a huge choice, but for travel, it would be just travel agency. And then you can pull your contact details in there. So here you'll see I've already identified that I'm in Australia, and then it would be whatever phone number you want to do. So if you've got that office location, you might prefer a landline. If you're mobile, then you can definitely put your mobile number there. And you might have noticed on my listing, I just have my mobile number. If you have a website, then you can put your website URL in here. So that would just be your www.kimskiltontravel.com. So whatever that is, you put that in there. If you don't have a website, you would click this one here, I don't need a website. And they do offer this, which I actually have never looked into, get a free website. So I can't really tell you too much about that, but by all means you could just go off and have a look at that and see if that would be something you're interested in creating if you don't already have a website. Now this here is the one on the left-hand side of your screen. That is Google asking you to opt in to receive their communication. I would recommend that you do say yes, and then once you've received a few pieces of communication, if you're not interested in what they're sending, then you can certainly opt out or unsubscribe. What you will generally get though is $50 or $100 Google AdWords credit, so you might want to go in and have a little play with that when that comes through, and they generally will send you a few of those over time if you don't activate an AdWords account. So don't panic if you don't use your first credit that they send you. If you're not ready, you can just sit on that. You'll find that they will continue to send you them over time. And then on the right hand side of the screen is the is the finish button. So it's literally just click the finish, and then you'll see this screen will come up, and it's choose a way to verify. Technically, there is 3 ways that you can verify your business listing. However, in Australia, I am yet to come across anyone that hasn't had any other option apart from the postcard. So there is phone number, and I can't remember the third one, but yes, in Australia it seems to be postcard. So what happens is you'll complete your contact details. So your name, it's just automatically pulled through. So this was just a fictitious company I was using to set that up, and it'll pull through that address that you've already entered. And let me just take you to the next screen. It will say postcard is coming, and it is literally old snail mail. It comes in the mail to you, and it will tell you approximately how long it will take to get to you, and just reiterates here what the address is. Now, once you have gone through that process, it's then going to take you to your actual Google business listing. So I thought we'll just take a few minutes to go through this page layout so you can understand the various elements. So at the moment we're sitting on the home, and then we've got this menu bar that runs down the left hand side. So posts, if you're into Google Plus, etc., you can go in and add posts to there. I used to do a bit in the space, but I haven't really got back into it for quite some time now. I tend to put most of my energies into Facebook, Instagram, a little bit of LinkedIn, and I think I'm just about to probably reignite my Twitter, but only because I can put it up on an automatic repost from some other channels. But you can definitely do that if you like. Info, so that's your information around your hours, your contact details, etc. Insights is another great little tool that from day one it won't have anything to tell you because it hasn't got historical information, but over time that will build up some information for you that you'll be able to go and have a look at. So an example of this, this is something that Google explained to me. They had a great example where it was a bar, and they would tend to do a post, say on or even an ad on late Friday, thinking they'll get people in Friday night drinks. But what they found was from their Google Insights was that people were actually doing the search on the Thursday night. So they were pre-planning, if you like, that they're going to go out for drinks after work on a Friday night. So they then changed their AdWords strategy and just some general posts, whether that's your social media posts, etc., to try and talk to that potential audience on a Thursday as opposed to the Friday. So it was an interesting little insight there. So definitely get in the habit of going in and have a look at those. Then next is your reviews, so you can go in there and set that up. Now for travel, how I would see this happening is you could definitely have an automated welcome home email campaign, or I think for personalization reasons I would do follow-up phone calls, and then during that phone call I would say look, I'd love you to complete a Google review. If you're happy, I'll shoot you the email with the link, so they then are more likely to open and complete that review for you. Messaging I don't tend to use, but it's there if you need it. Photos, I highly recommend that you do upload some photos. This is a great opportunity to further enhance your listing, and photos do show up in that Google search result. So for example, if you specialize in family holidays and have some, maybe it's you at Disneyland, or it's you on a ski holiday with family, and it's reinforcing what you sell and what what your passion is. If you're an adventure traveler, then have some adventure images. Maybe you have a bit of a passion for travel photography as a travel agent, and you could have different images of you taking, or you'd probably have some pretty amazing images, but you could also have people take photos of you taking the photos. That'd be quite cool as well. So make sure you do upload some photos. The website, that's where you could go in and change it. So you've already loaded that when we open the account, but if you need to go and update it, you can just click on the website and update it from there. And users are if you need to add people in as admins or whatever, you can do that. Next down there is create an ad. So Google will always be trying to push you to do an ad, and by all means you can certainly do that, and we'll look to cover that possibly in a later session. And then you can see add new location. So if you moved, or maybe you do an additional location, then you could go and put that in there. Now if we just pop over to the middle section of the page, this top one here is Google pushing you again to do an ad. So if you did want to, then you could do get started, and it'll take you through that process. I would recommend that just hang a few days, because it's very, very likely you're going to get an email from Google with a credit anyway, a $50 or $100 credit to start your first AdWords campaign. So you may as well use that, especially while you're learning. This is just reminding you that your listing is currently pending verification. So once you do get your little postcard in the mail, that will no longer display. And then another very important part is here in this top right corner. So for this fictitious listing I've done, I only completed about 50% of it. So I would want to go and add the hours, and it's just a matter of clicking on the plus sign. And it has every day of the week, so you can just block out Saturday, Sunday if you don't work Saturday, Sunday, or if you take Sunday, Monday off, then you can block out Monday. Whatever that might be, you can set those to the hours that work for you. Add a description. Again, this is really important and could be really beneficial for people finding you, so make sure you write a very personalized description in terms of what the travel services are that you offer and why people would or should book with you. And then your profile picture. So again, in the travel partner space, it is very much about you as an agent. So I think it's important that you put a photo of yourself there as opposed to a logo. If you don't have any photos you're happy with at the moment, by all means you could use a logo, but I would definitely look to get something that represents you. So there's a lot more connection when there's a human there in the photo as opposed to just a logo. So they're the main components of that page. So let's say 10 days, I think it was 6 days has passed, and the snail mail has now arrived. So this is what you will get in the post, and you'll see that here's a little verification code, and you will go to google.com/verify my business, and you will enter that code, and from there your Google listing is officially verified and you are all set to go. So there's some really easy to set up, definitely worthwhile doing. Just a couple of little tips, I guess, to keep in mind. You can also add to your Google listing some Q&A features. So maybe, again, I'll just refer to family travel as an example. If you are a family travel specialist, maybe you have, a packing list, or you have what are some common questions that you get asked by families, and that might be broken down to the travel type. So if they're going to Fiji, perhaps there's a suggestion that you can make about taking your own inflatable toys for the pool. If it's how to pack for a ski holiday. Different little Q&As, not FAQs, that you can add to your listing as well. So it's just every time someone's interacting with you, they're getting a value add experience, and you can do that through your Google listing as well. And another, I'll end on a stat, 76% of people look at multiple businesses before making a final choice. So you want to make sure that yours comes across as great as it can. And as I just mentioned, if you can add some additional value by giving some free advice, if you like, then I think that's going to hold you in good stead. If you have some really engaging images, some warm images, and they support what you're saying in your description, then I think you're going to do really, really well. So that's as simple as it is to set up your Google page listing. So please go forth and do if you haven't already done. And I would highly recommend that you work on getting some Google reviews as well.